Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Galarius Smite League. Today, we are going into our middle division. We are going to be watching the match of Circadian Rhythm and Mahakali going into our round two of this loser's bracket. Now, Cabbage, what do you know about these two teams, and how do you think this match is going to shake out?
So I don't know that much about these two teams in particular. However, what I do know is that Circadian Rhythm is coming fresh off a loss in the quarterfinals in a close set with Underworld, taking that all the way to Game 3, whereas Mahakali got knocked out in the first round of playoffs and had to fight their way through losers bracket, beating Memes and Dreams to get here. So both teams sitting at 1-1, but Circadian Rhythm coming into this the higher seed and the expected victor. But seeing as we had Gustra take the win over the Chinkais just yesterday, I think this could very much flip on a dime.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting match to see who really is able to pull this out and continue this loser brackets run to get back to the semifinals of losers. And we're going to be swinging right on to picks and bans here and just jumping into this set. And Circadian Rhythm has the first pick, versus Mahakali, and it's going to be interesting to see what these teams kind of pick up and what they're looking for in this early game. And that first ban comes through, they are getting rid of the Umoja. That is, why do you think they're banning Umoja out early?
Um, I mean, Yamoja is just a strong god in general, and if the support on the side of Mahakali is well known for having a good Yamoja, then that's definitely a pick you'd want to get off the board. In general, right now, at least speaking about the North American meta, there's roughly 8 gods that are auto pick slash ban pretty much every game, but the European Union is going to have a very, very different meta than we do over in NA. So the Sasano ban as well is something that I think is probably more of a targeted ban towards the team of Mahakali, or just a pick that Circadian Rhythm doesn't want to deal with. But seeing the bans roll through, I'm noticing a lot of stuff still left open, namely stuff like the Sun Wukong. You still have the Hachiman, you still have this that gets locked in first here, and what seemed to be slipping my mind as I was looking through the names of the gods, the Kali goes first pick to Circadian Rhythm.
Yeah, and you're mentioning the EU versus NA meta. That Kali is first pick, first ban over here in the NA world. So it's kind of crazy for us to see, the Kali, the Thors get through over, stuff such as like Freya, Sasano, Umoja. However, Freya has been picking up a lot of steam lately, running that Boomba Spear quad rings build with a Rajahuti, and has been doing so much damage and so much work, both in the ADC role and in the jungle role, to where you kind of have to start respect banning it if someone on those teams have it available. And these are some powerful, powerful picks coming through. You don't usually see a stacked teams like this over here in the NA, but
No
a
god nor
Kali for
demon can
Circadian Rhythm
defeat me.
and Mahakali getting Thor and Ravana. This is going to be a powerhouse of a game.
Definitely some very, very strong picks that get left to go through and picked up right in these first 3 picks that come through. Thor and Raven, very flexible as well. Usually you see Raven in the solo lane, Thor in the jungle when both of them are locked in, but the fact that Mahakali is able to change that up however
These
they see
immortals
fit
need to
is
be
very
taught a lesson.
important. Also important is going to be the lock-in now of the Sun Wukong on the side of Circadian Rhythm. Very solid solo laner. Really Sun Wukong and Yorm in contention for those top spots. And so, with this hover of the Geb, we start to run out of those gods that are really the top picks and start to get into picks that might be either specifically targeted against what the enemy team has managed to get for themselves, or picks that maybe people just feel comfortable on that are strong. And I see the Geb being locked in, and
Can
I
we do this
think that Geb is a
later?
very solid
I
pick right
just need
now,
a
but
little
a pick
nap.
that I don't think is quite as solid as this
This is
Kumbhakarna
wild.
getting picked up by Mahakali.
Yeah, so the Kumbhakarna pick here is wild. I into that team you have Kali that's root immune, you have Geb that can shield anyone out of your root and your mez. Sun Wukong ultimate does going into that somersault cloud also makes him CC immune. So my question is, what is this Kumba trying to set up? Is it trying to set up this Thor, or is there a big damage mage that's going to be coming in the mid lane to try and set up off of the Kumba ultimates, like a Scylla or someone like that that can really exploit this Kumbhakarna ultimate? Because right now he's facing down a team that he really does not do much into. Colleague just gets to run him down, and you know, this Geb and this Sun Wu, like there's not really anyone that he can groggy strike effectively because he's going to get CC'd out of it and get ran down. So this Kumbhakarna pick is incredibly interesting to me. It's either going to pay off greatly or really hurt them for Mahakali here.
I think the Kumbhakarna pick isn't so much for setup as it is for removal. I've seen Kumbhakarna locked in against auto attackers just because of the mez, but importantly, I think a very strong pick specifically into Kali when she goes up
My
into that
power
destruction
cannot
ultimate,
be
and you're able to
contained.
just remove her from the field for the duration of that ult. It can be a very good tool for removing pretty much all the effect Kali is going to have in that scenario. So I think the Kumbhakarna definitely a very unorthodox pick, but one that has a niche, and this might just be it. Merlin getting picked up now for Mahakali, a
You will
very
regret
strong
getting
god
in my
in the
way.
mid lane, but answered back by the Rama, which has made it all the way here to the 8th pick of the match. And with
Which
Hachi,
is crazy to
X-Ball,
see.
and Rama, yeah. With Hachi, X-Ball, and Rama now off the board, the ADC for Mahakali is gonna not have as many picks to really choose from here. Freya being down as well. Olerin getting banned out by their own
You
side.
dare test your
Tiamat
might against
going to be
Tiamat?
the counterpart here in the mid lane to Merlin, taking that over stuff like the Agni. And I would expect that this Tiamat we're going to see something akin to those yellow number builds that you see quite often now. The tablet into book,
Behold
into
my
breastplate,
fury.
get that cooldown percentage and get those big yellow numbers. But on her, still left open, a god that's had a resurgence in popularity lately as a good matchup and a lot of the stronger gods right now. So Mahakali's draft shapes out pretty nicely to end things out.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's we're looking at these last stage of bands. Olarun, Hachiman, Giannis, Shibalonke, and it's interesting to me to not see the Rama band out, and for it to be able to get through to Circadian Rhythm's team. Like, I'm looking at Circadian Rhythm's team, and this is a powerhouse squad. This team looks very, very strong, very, very good. But what do you think, Cavish? Who do you think on paper has the better draft, and what team do you really think has the opportunity to shine going here into game number 1?
It's a tough one. I think the drafts, just at a cursory glance, are very even. But I think that the important part with these drafts is where in the game they have the most power. And I think that Mahakali's draft is going to be very strong early, especially once you hit that level 5. You get those Thor ultimates. Kumbhakarna is going to be the really big linchpin here in keeping the Kali from doing anything in the fights early on. And once we get to the late game, Circadian Rhythm's draft is really going to start to outpace Mahakali. But if Kumbhakarna is able to stop this Kali from being that late game force we know her to be, I think that the scaling of Tiamat and the scaling of Rama can probably be answered back by almost this Merlin alone. And so really going to be up to play on field by the Kumba, but be looking at Mahakali to really get the ball rolling and have the advantage early.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. that Mahakali has the early game, while Circadian Rhythm has that late game. But let's jump into the game. Let's see how it goes, and let's find out which of these teams is going to take game number one. And you know, as we're talking about all that, you mentioned this Kumba is going to basically be a linchpin of this team to try and keep this Kali out of fights and really try and make this work for Mahakali. And I gotta say, I completely agree with you. Like, it is the one character on their team that can really shut down this Kali and keep her from getting to the back lines. And you gotta remember that beads do come up every 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So every 2 minutes and 50 seconds, she is going to be able to get in. And that's, I think, what they're going to try and play around in the late game is every time that Kali beads is going to be up, they're going to want to try and make big fights. Because knowing that you can get into that destruction ultimate, knowing that you can beads the Kumbamez and that cripple, and the epic uppercut to really try and push what Kali is meant to do. And I think we'll, see them try and fight around that going into the later game. But, you know, pitch it to you, Cabbage. What do you think of these builds and all of this in the early game about what these teams are looking like their builds are going to shake out and what they're planning on doing here in the early game?
The builds kind of across the board do seem to be fairly standard order. We do see the war flag being picked up on the Kumbhakarna here. Definitely at this point in time, not a troll item like it used to be for quite the longest time. So very good to see that item at least getting some kind of play. Felt like it needed the love. But the builds just across the board seem to be relatively even and relatively normal. And I think that's kind of to be expected starting out here. Circadian Rhythm, you just want to go into something typical. You want to just play your draft like you have to, because a lot of what's going to be necessary here isn't really specific item pickups into specific matchups. Let's hold that thought, a gank over and right.
As the Kali comes in, the stun, she throws down the lash. They're tracking him down, and the 72 transformations will hit, and that is a kill for this Kali to start this game. This Grungo Beepus getting first blood for Circadian Rhythm, and that is a drastic and massive start. But don't worry, the Mahakali is trying to gank on the opposite side, but not quite able to. And I am correct, the impale coming through at the last moment. Max range taking down Snow Mercy as he was just about to get out, but Molog just able to send it home at the last possible chance. Circadian Rhythm starting off very strong with that first blood, going the way of the Kali on the Scrungo, and Mahakali doing good at firing back, but that's still a Kali that's got first blood. That is massive for them.
Yeah, first blood for Circadian Rhythm here going to be very important for getting this Kali online, as well as bridging the rest of your team throughout the game. Again, we gave the
Holy
late
cow, she's
game
already level 5.
advantage. Yes, we gave their late game advantage here to Circadian Rhythm, and so the faster you can get to that late game, then the better off you're going to be if you're playing on this team. And I think the decisions for the ganks there also kind of belies where the teams are thinking their bread is buttered right now, right? Because you see Kali hop over to right, realizing that, well, heading over to left isn't going to help all that much. Onher's going to have a ton of pressure early. But it
And
looks
the
like he's the one getting aggressed upon.
Yeah, and this Rama and Geb doing very well in this lane so far to try and resist the pressure that this Kumba on her has. This on her is doing good damage, hitting all of his autos and those impales, but that Rama astral arrows are doing quite a lot in these fights. Just already in this early game, we've seen that he almost got the Kumba down in that first fight before losing Snow Mercy, but you know it's going to be interesting to see which one of them is going to do better going into this middle game.
I think the left lane pressure just because of the crazy wave clear that Rama has. Until we see the supports rotate out of this lane, it's going to be very hard for this on her pick to actually
And there's a
do
fight
what it's
brewing up
known
in the mid
for.
lane. A big stun onto the Merlin. The Kali's chasing after it. He's going
Oh,
to use the Destruction ultimate, and he will fall. That is another kill for Scrungo, sending Lina, that Merlin, back to base the hard way. And that is a great start for this Kali, getting the second kill on the board, already having your Golden Blade finish. This man is on the hunt and is already pulling out to a pretty strong lead and getting this Kali on very quickly.
well, Bloody, I think there is a reason that Kali is the #1 pick ban right now in North American Smite, and I'd assume for similar reasons, a very hotly contested pick over in the EU meta. This Kali is just so hard to tack down, deals ludicrous amounts of damage, and it just goes to
The
show
epic
there.
uppercut in the Mystic Rush will come over to try and secure the blue buff. Now, this Gumbo using that epic uppercut to get Coconut in this Wukong on this Wukong out of the fight. Just like, hey, let's get our blue buff. We don't need to worry about it. But this Merlin is in getting dove. Now Scrungo is getting bullied, trapped in, 4 people chasing him. They get with a massive shield and a shell, but not going to be enough as he is going to get tracked down, and the Kali will fall, diving in on this green buff and onto this Merlin, but getting 4-man rotated on is going to get punished for his greed, and that is a kill going the way of Mahakali.
And a kill importantly onto this Kali, slowing down the Kali as well as getting quite a bit more gold than you would have gotten for any other kill. And so I think that's definitely a thing you're happy about here if you are the team of Mahakali, but still level 8 compared to the level 6 of Big Man Jesus over on the other side of the jungle. But
And we
Big
got
Man
a
Jesus hoping to
rotation
even
coming
that
in
up.
on here to the duo lane, but Rama with the rolls just before that wall came in. You know, either player was like 1 second in any direction off. That could have been a kill onto Gout out this world, but on that Rama, he is going to be able to slip away this time.
I think if we take a look at kind of the situation with the gold right now, Circadian Rhythm off to roughly a 1.4k gold lead. Uh, and this is a draft that we'd said is going to struggle in the early game compared to the team that has that Thor, that has on her. But I mean, it seems like so far the Kali has been the main pace setter early on. And again, this god just so strong. There's a reason that it's so hotly contested. You've got to be hoping, if you're Mahakali right now, that this Kumbhakarna pick, once the team fight phase comes around, maybe once you hit mid game, you're at least able to make some money there and get this Kali under control. Because right now, it seems like wherever Scrungo Beepus goes, apart from that one unlucky fall in the jungle, this Kali just gets free farm and possibly free kills.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. They're going to have to try and shut down Scrungo as much as possible, try and lock him down and make sure that he can't do much going further into this game, because once the Kali gets fed, she gets out of control and is one of the hardest gods to stop whenever she gets ahead. And, we mentioned, this Wukong pick over here in the solo lane. You know, it's a god that it does a lot of work constantly throughout the game. He's one of the best solo laners in the game right now in our NA meta, and is one of those guys that typically gets banned out first set of bans as well. Usually with the Jormungandr and the Kali. So having both of those on the team, you have a lot of pressure on that solo side. Hence why, Scrungo was able to get that first blood. And, you know, he's in a very good place right now. He is a level up on this Ravana and continuing to apply pressure in that lane, as we see multiple times he's put that Ravana down to a quarter HP and kind of forced him back out of the fights and out of the lane for a little bit.
Well, Sun Wukong is a very hotly contested pick, but Robin is also right up there, both for the flex potential, but also just with how strong this god is, especially when team fight comes around. Sun Wukong is going to be a
Yes, it
lot
is.
safer, of course, but I mean, Robin is just sitting in your face, constantly getting that shield, especially with the builds that you're able to go on this god. I think that Vidar is going to have a lot of pressure once multiple man fights start happening on this right hand side of the map. We haven't really seen a visit being paid over here though by Big Man Jesus, and I can't help but think that Thor going to be relatively effective against a Sun Wukong, able to wall off those 72 transformations. But it seems like the Thor just hasn't really had that in mind, instead been paying a lot of attention over to left lane or just farming.
Yeah, and that Thor, we mentioned him like trying to farm, trying to be elsewhere, but the man is 2 levels down on Scrungo right now. He is level 9 while Scrungo is level
Oh.
11. So, and right now, Rama to the Astro Barrage. He did a lot of damage to Moloch. He's trying to land those snipes, but will decide to target prioritize onto Big Man Jesus to force him out, hoping that Scrungo and Snow Mercy were able to get there to do something a little bit faster onto that fight, but is going to use it, not wanting to gamble on someone he couldn't see, trying to make like the big baller play, is just going to use it to try and force him out. And they cannot contest this. Circadian Rhythm is going to try and be able to get this Gold Fury, and the Kali jumping to the back lines is going to get pushed out by the Epic Uppercut after doing a lot of damage to Big Man Jesus, as that was a marked target she was going in on, and a good reaction by the Goomba of Scalder main. The Scotty Calder combination main. Kind of ironic he's in the support role, but able to use that epic uppercut, get that Kali off of his Thor, and manage to keep her alive. And this gold XP difference is now creeped up over 2,000 for Circadian Rhythm.
Yeah, solid lead now developing for Circadian Rhythm, able to use the pressure that they've gotten effectively. And again, Bloody, the longer this game goes on, the more it's going to shift further in the favor of Circadian Rhythms. Mahakali, they need to stabilize and they need to get some good team fights started. And right now, I'm really looking at that right-hand side of the map. The Raven going to be a key factor in these. Mulog can hold his own over in the dual lane with the On Her, but I don't think you're really expecting too much to happen over there unless someone pays a visit.
And the
The
first
fight around
beacon
the
is
Stygian.
live, and there's going to have one of our first major team fights of the game. At right now, both teams doing a lot of poke. As Mahakali held the point, almost had it. If they could have kept Snow Mercy of that Geb off for just a second longer, they would have been able to capture it. But the presence of Circadian Rhythm, just how far ahead they already are, knowing that Kali is there, knowing that Ghostly Mars on this TMI, and their entire team is there besides, you know, actually, I stand corrected. The Rama and the Sun Wukong were not there. It was just 3 of them, but showing enough face, having a big enough presence, and Mahakali's like, we can't fight this. It just had to back off of it, giving Circadian Rhythm a free beacon.
Yeah, free beacon going the way of Circadian Rhythm. Just Mahakali not able to respond in force and tank
Right
over
now,
and right.
rotation onto the Ravana, but doing a little bit of poke, just trying to take away and strip away that silver buff, that cooldown buff, trying to get Kali even more XP in the head. And we got
Oh,
a big rotation. The Anvil of Dawn is up. It is down. And that is a Milner's Attunement Berserker's Barrage. And he doesn't find the kill that Rama got nuked. He is at a quarter HP, but where does he have to go when he comes down? And the answer is nowhere. That Kumba and that On Her
Pyro.
on top of him. Gonna find the kill, but the Circadian Rhythm may have lost their Rama, but they are pulling the Pyromancer over here and are going to be able to get it. But, Geb not picking up the bomb. Oh, okay, it did pick up the bomb, just didn't show the animation of it. But a big rotation over onto that Rama to kind of keep him at bay and try and bring that golden XP difference down as it did. And a beautiful 72 transformation stops the Milner's attunement out, and Kali is trying to track him down, but a massive
No
root
ult.
stops the kill and traps her in, having no destruction ultimate to DC immune that. This Ramana of Vidar saving Big Man Jesus with the fattest root and turning that into a kill of their own onto Scrungo, and that is so huge, so massive for Mahakali. This is what they needed here to kind of put their foot down and make some rotations and make some big stops onto this Kali and onto the team of Circadian Rhythm. And that is a great place to start. You know, that route, I got to say, was perfecto. It was great. It was beautiful. If it came in a half second later, then Big Man Jesus would have fallen and Scrungo would have gotten another kill on a marked target. And just a great fight there.
Mahakali have finally drawn a line in the sand, make that rotation within their own jungle. And I think important to note now, if we take a look at the gold, that gold lead has shrunk down further from where it was before, only 500. But Mahakali now find themselves with an experience lead over Circadian Rhythm, which is a pretty big deal as these objectives will start to come back up. Oni Fury, notably on the table now. Molag is level 16 compared to the level, I believe, only 14 here. Okay, 15 now. So level and a half lead here for Molag over Out of This World based on basically that one rotation that was made over by the Thor and the Kuma to get the kill earlier on.
Yeah,
so Mahakali looking at this Fury.
Yeah, it's a big rotation for them. Not only did they get the kill on the Rama and mate where he lost some farm, but they also got the tower, which is a big gold source. And now Mahakali picking up this Oni Fury, the first time they've really had some pressure here in this game. And the Astral Barrage just off the mark, almost trying to steal it away, but Mahakali getting the secure, and now we are equal on gold, and Mahakali has equal XP as well. You know, Circadian Rhythm having spent that time farming, and everything is tied up again. The teams are equal again. Now it is going to be, how does Mahakali continue to turn this back in their tide now that they've brought it back to equal, now that they've managed to make some big stops and turn this back into their favor a bit?
It's still going to be a tough one. They have a solid experience lead now. The gold has been evened up. Still in that mid-game phase, so they're still slightly going to be edging out Circadian Rhythm, especially because Kali has not been able to get online very quickly. As of late, a lot of credit goes to Scaldermain for really putting this pick in the dirt whenever it tries to get near the backline, forcing Scrungo just to go for farm here.
Yeah, and this fight's picking up. They're going to force Scrungo out, and they're going to use the epic uppercut to keep Snow Mercy in. Forced to use that Cataclysm to try and save himself. He is still getting ran down by Scaldermate. The big groggy strikes and more, trying to keep him there.
Careful.
Wasting his ult on the Geb, not able to find it. But that is Destruction Ultimate down, and Anvil of Dawn is in the air, trying to rain down onto her. But on the other end, Out of the World hitting those Astral Barrages on this Kumba, and he's going to rain through. The passive will get his big old belly back up, and now he's getting ran down by the Tiamat and through the Rama. Is going to fall. Ghostly Mars with a double. And now Circadian Rhythm coming back to this beacon, wanting to force the rest of Mahakali that is alive out of here. And that's a big Beats and Aegis that Vidar just got with that blinking onto Ghostly Mars. This is going to force both of them.
Big man.
And this man is taking a lot of damage to Sun Wukong using the Somersault Cloud to go over the wall. And he chases down one. He chases down two. Using that 72 Transformations Bull to push through the green buff, to push through after Molag and Big Man Jesus, knowing that they have no jump, knowing that have no way to get out, and is going to use that big somersault cloud over the wall and track him down. And Circadian Rhythm on a roll right now. They are rocking and rolling and starting to do what this team was designed to do, and that is a Pyromancer going their way as well, getting 4 kills for nothing, spiking this gold lead to 3,000, this XP lead to 5,000. That fight was massive for Circadian Rhythm.
Circadian Rhythm, they falter a little bit previously, but they finally managed to find a big team fight win. Look, Coconut now up to level 19 on the Sun Wukong. The experience lead shifting right back in the favor of Circadian Rhythm. And crucially, as we're starting to approach that late game now, this is where the draft is going to start to come online. Ghosty Mars close to finishing off what I assume to be a Soul Reaver. The stacking items, Book of Thoth, almost completed. So the build's starting to take form here for Circadian Rhythm. And Mahakali, that's just a bit of an overstay on their part, and they have to be careful not to let it happen again.
So, guys, there is one thing I do want to ask. You know, we don't really see this over here in the NA meta, but tell me, what do you think the Breastplate of Valor on these mid laners is going to do for both of them? It's a interesting pickup that both, and Mariah, a big epic uppercut is gonna trap in Ghostly Mars. That Kumba is all over, setting up to try and take her down. But this Geb is on point, using everything to keep her alive. The shields are on point. This and Big Man Jesus ulting in is gonna get trapped and get shredded for his plight, and Ghostly Mars is still alive. You know, Geb burning the shield, Geb burning the shell, and eating, you know, Anvil of Dawn and more is gonna manage to live and not even have their relics up to defend themselves and live.
Dog Ghosty Mars just live through that Anvil of Dawn. The ground stance plus that breastplate that you were talking about earlier just make this Tiamat so unbelievably tanky. Then the cooldown reduction gonna let those abilities come up as often as possible. And with a build like this, you're not really relying on just raw pen or anything like that. You're just doing percent damage or flat damage with those yellow numbers that you get from that tablet, that you get from the Soul Reaver, and what is either going to be at the very end a Glad Shield or an Ethereal Staff. I usually like the Glad Shield just to give yourself a little more cooldown, but that really depends. So this Tiamat going to be incredibly hard to kill for Ghosty Mars, and it's definitely a build that I've seen really start to pick up. I've even tried it a few times myself. I can say I very, very much like it.
Yeah, and it seems that my question of what is these breastplates doing got answered almost immediately by Big Man Jesus going in on that Tiamat and just showing how much more you're able to survive just by having it, and how important those cooldowns can be. And now Circadian Rhythm picking up this Gold Fury, but Mahakali is going to try and contest, but Circadian Rhythm will still take it, and now that's 2 ultimates down for Mahakali, and now they're continuing to push through, but no one really being home, not able to find any kills here is Mahakali, and Circadian Rhythm able to get a Gold Fury and be able to get out, but Mahakali now rotating over towards the Pyromancer and the Fire Giant, knowing that it's going to be coming up here very shortly. The question is Circadian Rhythm going to be able to get back in time to defend this Pyromancer as it's coming up right now?
I think they will, and honestly, Scrungo Beepus alone having the ult up could be enough.
Scrungo is in behind. They don't know he's here. The double stun, the lash. Lina will fall down to low. Is forced to use that destruction ultimate. He is trying to rampage through this team, but is going to have to hop out and blink out. So now Gow of the World is going to find him one. Is going to be able to do a lot of damage here. Leads to 2 falling, and we jump to Coconut into the backline.
Unstoppable Coconut. Triple kill for the Sun Wukong. of Circadian Rhythm. Excellent play here from Coconut, and I mean the rest of Circadian Rhythm just going to run down this mid lane tier 2, and the Phoenix looks like it's going to be next on the menu. They drop the 2 Pyro Bombs, and that Phoenix, a foregone conclusion. Circadian Rhythm, they win the fight, and they get out. So that's going to put them in a very good spot. We can see them moving over towards this right-hand side of the map. 3 members still down on the side of Mahakali, debating, and they will go for it. The Fire Giant looks to be the call here, and it's going to burn relatively fast. The build's really mostly online at this point, only a couple items missing. Stygian Beacon comes up, but it looks like Mahakali, they don't really expect Circadian Rhythm to be on this Fire Giant, so it looks like it will go rather uncontested over to the Order side team here. So Circadian Rhythm will have to decide what they want to do with this. Do they want to back, farm up, or do they want to push the advantage while they still can? Decisions to make as Big Man Jesus on the Thor tried to capture that Stygian Beacon, but a rotation over from Coconut. Not going to be able to fight back against that Sun Wukong, so definitely think that is a good decision here. And Big Man Jesus on this Thor just has not been able to hit home with the ultimates in the way that they've really needed to. This Thor needed to get something rolling early and just wasn't able to find the Anvils of Dawn when they were needed. And the early pressure that Mahakali should have had with their draft has really not fallen into place. Now, Mid Phoenix is the only thing that's down, and yes, Circadian Rhythm does have the Fire Giant around their waists, but I think Mahakali on the defense could definitely make something happen, especially considering the presence of this Thor in the jungle, as well as having this Merlin able to completely zone off that little entrance to the Phoenix for quite a while. Don't think it will be an easy task for Circadian Rhythm to walk into this Phoenix. Still though, Circadian Rhythm just going to do what they can, push down this left-hand side of the map. The tier 2 is going to be next on the menu. It looks like Mahakali are just forced to sit and watch.
Yeah, and Circadian Rhythm firmly in the driver's seat after getting that Fire Giant. You know, having a full team with Fire Giant is always going to be scary. And with these Titans being unleashed too, they're going to want to be grouping up in this solo lane to try and push with their Titan to try and get even more.
A push with the Titan here, if successful, could mean even just a game win for Circadian Rhythm. A blink ult from Snow Mercy doesn't get anyone, unfortunately, for the gap, but a full health Order Titan now walking down this right-hand side of the map, and Fire Giant on all 5 members. Geb ult is no longer available, neither is the Geb blink, but still all pressure goes the way of Circadian Rhythm. A solid 12k gold lead. They push down this tower, almost no contest.
Yeah, and now they're going to have to defend that Titan with the entire team of Circadian Rhythm pushing, and a big knockup is going to get Vidar shredded by that Rama, but Big Man Jesus trying to do something, will ult into the backline, and that Titan will fall. Big ultimate's coming out. He gets shredded by the Rama, and that is a Kumba down, and now they are looking to go through this. Rama still landing autos, goes into the Astral Barrage, lands all 3 on Big Man Jesus. He may have immune 1, but it doesn't matter. He will fall due to the help of that Rama, getting dropped, getting sank. That is 2 down, and they want more. Snow Mercy's ultimate's back up again, getting the kill on Vidar. We thought he had already used that Cataclysm, but it doesn't matter when it's on a short cooldown. And now 3 have fallen. Blink into the throne room. Moloch will fall, and that is going to be Circadian Rhythm taking game number 1 over Mahakali.
I said it shortly before that fight, a successful push from the Titan there could just spell the end of the game. Circadian Rhythm, they take that pressure in the right-hand lane. They push that Titan through, and they let the Titan hit the Phoenix, bait the members of Mahakali in, and then strike afterwards. And a lot of credit on the back end of that does have to go to this Rama. able to dish out so much damage as well as dealing damage to the Phoenix. And it seems like Mahakali just at that point in the game, just so far behind in the builds that once they lost a member of their team, once they lost that Kumba, just weren't able to withstand the sheer pressure that Circadian Rhythm put on that Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, you build a late game team comp and you press the accelerator to get to late game very early on, and you're going to be rewarded for it when you get there. You know, getting those kills, setting up your team, and managing to get to these late game fights. You're going to be rewarded for it when every single person on your team, besides the Sun Wukong, who is simply just good the entire game, is a late game god. So when you have your entire team drafted in that nature and you manage to get there early on and keep that pressure, it's always going to spell out greatness for the team.
Yeah, greatness is the name of what happened here for Circadian Rhythm. 5-0-5 for Coconut on this Sun Wukong, putting out 20k damage. This game didn't even go that long in the grand scheme of things. Yes, it was slightly under 30 minutes. Ghosty Mars, though, I think deserves a lot of credit on this team at. Also 5-0-5, matching the stat line of his fellow solo laner, 21, roughly 22k damage on the team at. And look at the damage taken, the damage mitigated for this team at. You built tank, and I mean, you didn't even need it all that much. Only really came into effect in those crucial moments, but Ghosty Mars, for the most part, sitting pretty in the back line.
Absolutely. And a great game for, for Circadian Rhythm to take game number one. You know, we'll have to see what it is that Mahakali is going to try and do to try and, set back Circadian Rhythm to try and bring game number two back more in their favor. I think that the thing that they have to do is pick or ban, the Sun Wukong and the Kali. Kali may, you look at that damage number, 12,000, and you're like, that's not that big of a deal, but the amount of pressure and presence that Kali has when she jumps into your backlines and you're forced to respond. It is a god that will wreak havoc even when just for the sake of displacing the enemy team and forcing ultimates. And she did that throughout the entire game. Scaldermain, forced to ultimate her every single time she jumps into the backline of his team. And he no longer has it to peel anyone else or to set up anything. So it's one of those things where I would like to see that Kali either picked up by Mahakali or to see it get banned out going into game number two.
Yeah, definitely some things that need to change within the draft here for Mahakali, and maybe even on the side of Circadian Rhythm, because they are the ones who banned out the Umoja and the Sasano and left a lot of these strong picks open. And honestly, more of those strong picks going the way of Mahakali, I feel. And so, very interested to see how these drafts are going to shake up in the next game, because something needs to change.
Yeah, I completely agree. But, anyways, we will see you all as we go into game number two. We are going to be hopping to a short break as we get set up for game number two, and we'll see y'all there.
Came from a broken home. I've seen so many people go. Learn to make it on my own. It's easier for me to be alone. So how are you? Keep cutting through, claiming you're not like the other guys. And only if I could give you a chance, show me that you mean it. We'll feel some type of way.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the GSL. Once again, I am Cabbage, joined here by Bloody, as well as the wonderful Saul on production. And Bloody, with the match between Circadian Rhythm and Mahakali. In the previous game, Circadian Rhythm draft a late game comp, but managed to hold on to the lead throughout almost the entirety of the early and mid game, turning it into an under 30-minute win in game one. They are the team favored to win in this match, and definitely showing why. And as these bans roll through, do you think something needs to change in the draft here for Mahakali to make a difference?
As I said, like I understand that, you know, NA versus the EU metas are different, but I would
There
like
it
to
is.
see that Kali, the Sun Wukong, either get banned or get picked up for Mahakali. Those gods wreak so much havoc if you do not put a consistent effort to locking them down, and will force ultimates and abilities just by the sheer amount of pressure and sustain and ability to get in on fights. So, that Sun Wukong does get through, and I would love to see Mahakali pick it up, and they are hovering it instantly. And I fully expect them to lock it in. I do not think you can give that back to Circadian Rhythm. This man was a absolute menace on the Sun Wukong game one,
These immortals
going
need to be taught a
5-0
lesson.
and 5, and it's good to see that Mahakali has made that adjustment. The Kali getting banned, even though it was by
Oh.
Circadian Rhythm, to pick up that Sun Wukong, but unfortunately are letting through the Meticulous.
I am the
Marticarus gets
king
left
of
open, and
beasts.
Marticarus gets picked up by Circadian Rhythm. Crucially as well, Raven left open, Thor also on the table, and I don't think Circadian Rhythm is much scared of the
No god nor
performance
demon can
of
defeat
Thor
me.
in the previous game for Big Man Jesus, so Raven is going to be the pickup that they go with. Mahakali, they hover the Thor. Looks like they might decide to pick this up, run it back from the previous game, possibly hoping for a better performance on it this time. But again, I think the Yamoja ban and the Sasano ban leaving up two more of these hot picks than we're really used to, as Kuzenbo's the final hover here in the first three for Mahakali.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is just the Texas heat where I live or if it's these picks, but things are getting hot in here because all of these picks are massive.
Watch my
know,
nay-nay.
These are not picks that we normally see get through the picks and bans. Usually, the Sasano, the Yamoja, and even the Frey and the Ormigander sometimes get through these picks and bans. But to see Marticarus, Ravana, Sun Wukong, Thor, and the Kali get through game one, it's absolutely wild to see. And it's going to be who can play these high power meta baller picks better. And they do so much damage, they do so much work, but who can really shine on these gods?
Geb getting picked up once again by Circadian Rhythm, and I mean, you want to know who can shine on these gods. We saw Snow Mercy have a very good game previously on the Geb, able to keep the team alive in situations where they really shouldn't have been. And so the Geb going to go a long way to keeping Circadian Rhythm in it. And depending on where this Ravana goes, could go into the jungle, could go into the solo lane, could have some very, very heavy shields stacked up onto that god, depending on where it goes. Either way, just going to be a strong pick. As the bans roll through, we see Hachi and X-Ball taken off the field, as well as the Oleron. And now Mahakali, considering what they want that final ban to be, it is going to be the Bakasura taken off the field. So again, the pool of hunters fairly limited. Rama, again, still left open. I can't help but feel like Circadian Rhythm might be looking in that direction.
Yeah, I think that you showed that you can play at game number one of Gout of this world, doing so well on the Rama, hitting so well on those Astral Barrages. Like even just in that last fight, doing 800 damage just off Astral Barrage hits. You can't help but think, giving our ADC a global ultimate that he can do that much damage on while being completely safe in it is something that we might want to go back to. But, potentially leaving it up there, hovering the Tiamat,
Yeah.
he did so well on it in game number one. He went 5-0-5. I cannot blame them. But do we think that Mahakali would take the Tiamat away? Or
well,
do
Bloody,
we
if they lock in this Tiamat, which they will, unless that is a Tiamat solo or a Tiamat ADC, we're going to be seeing Marty hopping over into that duo lane. Not a place we usually see that god, and I think for good reason. And I am actually a little concerned because Marticarus specifically into Kuzenbo has me very, very worried as Rama gets hovered
You will
here.
regret getting in my way.
That wave clear that Marticarus offers, and Rama gets locked in to the duo lane. Agni left open, and Agni going to be the final hover here for Mahakali, possibly taking this over the Merlin, deciding it might be better with the comp and better than it was last game. Definitely think it's acceptable into the Tiamat here.
Yeah, and I do like this Agni pick. I think it is good into the Circadian Rhythm comp, giving him a bit more range than that Merlin, and a little bit less survivability because Flicker is such a good ability on the Merlin, but giving you that range, giving you that extra distance of safety to try and stay away from the Ravana Mystic Rush, try and stay away from Tiamat jumping in that ground stance. And I quite like that Agni pick. And you mentioned that this Tiamat going mid, Marticarus ADC. In North America, we never see the Marticarus go anywhere else from mid. So my mind was locked in. It's like, oh, this is a Marty mid. What other ADC are they going to pick up? But it does look like the Marty is going to be going into the duo lane. And, we're kind of waiting on that Circadian Rhythm final pick to see if, this Ravana is going jungle or if it's going solo. And, one of those things, different metas, even though we play the same game, the balance changes in the game is the exact same. That these metas shake out a bit differently between NA and EU. And it's interesting to see the more that I explore this because, here we would never see a Marty in the ADC role. And it's kind of really interesting to see how that's going to play out in this match.
Chalk is the final god hovered, and Chalk will be the final god locked in here for Circadian Rhythm and for the game. Now, Bloody, I don't know how much you know about me when I cast, but I am a betting man. Have my bets gone very well? No, they haven't. I'm currently 2-18 on predictions. But bloody, I can feel it in my veins, in my bones. That's a chungle.
No way. No.
It's gotta be. That's a
I
chungle.
I fully believe that is going to be a shock solo in Ravana jungle. Ravana is such a menace in both the solo and jungle roles right now. I would be very surprised to see this shock go jungle, but if we do see the shock jungle, just know I would be in love. I love doing that myself, and Smite. Shock is one of my favorite gods as the Storm Call ultimate. That big AoE silence can do so much in those fights, especially when you have the Marticarus, the Ravana, and a Tiamat to follow along with you to try and lock down Mahakali. So this is a underrated pick, but I do absolutely love it.
Chalk always in a situation where there's some times where you can just whip it out and it just works. So we'll have to see whether this Chalk goes into the jungle or into the solo lane. I guess we can put that one on the back burner. I think the more interesting thing to me is the fact that we do have what appears to be a Marticorus in the duo lane. A god that can be very, very vulnerable, and I'm especially concerned looking at the Thor. If Thor puts down that wall, basically nothing Marty can do without expending the ult. You also have the Kuzenbo, who can just run down that Marticarus when those early waves are passing through duo. Rama is going to be able to match the clear of a Marty fairly easily. So I want to know how well Circadian Rhythm is going to be able to push this pick through, and I guess there's only one way to find out. We're going to transition right over into game number 2. Mahakali on elimination point from this bracket. Circadian Rhythm 1 win away from moving on. And bloody, it appears I'm 2-19. That is not, in fact, Shungle. It is the Choconut.
And also, one thing that Mahakali has made a change. Big man Jesus no longer on the Thor, no longer in the jungle. This man's in the mid lane, and Lina is taking over in the jungle for Mahakali, swapping out the mid and jungle. And that is a Kuzenbo stripping away the purple buff. Mahakali, already off to a great start. Scaldermate pulling in the Geb. A lot of damage coming through. Holy cow.
This is just what Kuzenbo will offer to you early on in the match, just able to output so much pressure. And I mean, compared to the clear of the Geb and even the early clear of the Marty, still going to be able to help outpace and run things down. So again, I've just been very, very concerned about what's going to happen over there. And I feel like if Lina is able to pay some special attention over to the duo lane, Mahakali could really start to pull ahead over on that side of the map.
Yeah,
I take a look
completely
over
agree.
at the builds here. We see Ghosty Mars going a build similar to the last game, but Big Man Jesus also possibly going for that same build, albeit going to be going for that first item Sands instead of the Conduit Gem, and so maybe a more cooldown focused build. Scaldermane though seems to really enjoy this War Flag. Enjoyed it in the previous game, and so going to be running back that pick.
And one of the things that, looking at these builds that I like to see is that benevolence on the Geb. We talk about Geb being the definition of big shields. Well, you saw how well he used that shell game number 1, picking it up again. He now has a alternative solution later in this game if he decides to go that heroism over the compassion, and it's just shields on shields on shields.
Shields on shields on shields. Combine that with the shields that Robin's going to get, and you could theoretically just keep this Robin topped off for eternity, not based off the HP, but just based off of that additional tankiness that these shields are going to offer you. So very hard to chew through comp on the side of Circadian Rhythm, but I think one of the things we didn't really talk about that much over on the desk with just how late game focused this comp is, but hold that thought. aggression over at the blue buff here, but Scrungo Beepus looks like it is going to be the Raven getting the better end of that trade until a visit is paid by Sun Wukong all the way over at the enemy's blue buff, and it is just going to be the 2v2 over here. Good stun plus the double tap from Lina. They don't manage to steal the buff away, but they do manage to steal the life away from the Ravens. That's an early fall. Circadian Rhythm definitely going to be hurting off the back of that one.
Yeah, and you know, a great start from Mahakali getting the first blood this time around. You know, in the same place that Circadian Rhythm got the first blood, over here on this solo lane side, and you know, a bit of a aggressive start from Mahakali that I like to see. You know, one thing we didn't talk about on the desk is just, you know, pen to paper what these gods bring to the table, which one that team that we think might have the better standing or better chance to take out game number 2. And I'll be honest, just off the team comps alone, I am leaning towards Mahakali's team. Just having that Sun Wukong, having that Thor, just constant pressure. If they're going to be able to lock down this Marticarus later on in this match, I think that it's going to be really good for them and be one of those things that is going to be really hard for Circadian Rhythm to really deal with. You know, they have the peel of the Shock Ultimate, that Storm Call, that big AoE silence, and the Cataclysm and the Geb, but, you know, there isn't the most self-peel out of the Tiamat and the Marticarus.
Yeah, lacking on that self-peel and the ability to get out, and so I think the draft of Circadian Rhythm, it would seem, going to be very reliant on reaching that late game phase. And I mean, bloody, that early fall that Scrungo Beepus took, you have this Raven definitely going to be that bridge in order to get there. So do you feel like Circadian Rhythm are still on pace to keep that up, or have Mahakali managed to find that early pressure that they seem to lack in the previous game?
I think that they've been able to find a bit of their footing going into game number 2. One of the things that a lot of teams are very hesitant to do, and hold that up, there might be a rotation going in on the duo lane.
Yeah, Anvil of Dawn comes in, doesn't manage to hit anyone. The wall not going to be good on the Scrungo either. So Lina trying to line up anything there and doesn't manage to hit Paydirt. So it's an ultimate down and some brief reprieve here for Circadian Rhythm.
Yeah, but as I was saying, it's just, you know, one of the big things Mahakali did that is incredibly undervalued is making the decision, we're going to swap these two people. A lot of teams are very hesitant. It's like, okay, this is my role, this is your role, this is our best roles. You know, even if one gets absolutely thrashed, a lot of teams are very hesitant to swap players around because they feel like this is our best roles and this is, you know, all we can do. However, you know, swapping Big Man Jesus and Lina around, putting Lina in the jungle here in game number 2, the exact same jungle pick, Thor, but we're already seeing more of a presence from Lina in the fact that they got first blood by invading the blue buff of Circadian Rhythm. You know, we did not see that much pressure coming out of Big Man Jesus in game number 1. He played it very well, he played it very safe, but he got behind and stayed behind. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this shift, changing out your mid laner, changing out your jungler, and swapping them around, is going to affect this game. And now we got a rotation onto the solo lane, onto Coconut.
Continuing to get active on the Thor, misses the Anvil of Dawn, misses the stun as well. Coconut just kind of walking back and forth. Rotation from Big Man Jesus all the way over in the mid lane. Popping the ultimate though is Coconut. He's doing so much damage. The silence is just long enough. Fadir needs to be careful, walking out at just a sliver of HP. The rotation from Big Man Jesus is going to cost him a wave in the mid lane as well. So Mahakali try to make something happen in right. They still have a lead, but no dice so far.
The craziest part about that is if Coconut had realized that Vidar was going to be taking a tower shot due to the Bluestone procs, he actually could have turned and gotten a kill there.
Yeah, might not have realized that, but Scrungo forced under tower by Scalderman. Now just trying to make it out, but Big Man Jesus is there with the Agni Bomb, so the Raven is going to fall for a second time in this early phase of the game. Snow Mercy just needs to get out, and so Circadian Rhythm, they try to get active, but Mahakali are able to repel them early on.
The one thing I gotta say about that fight is I do not like that Scrongo Beepus ultimate. I do not like that Mystic Rush that he chose to do. You know, wanting to get damage, wanting to fight more. He up, down, straight back down, but he up, down, under tower. You know, instead of using that ultimate to get out, to try and get you some distance and try and get out from under tower, just kind of trapped himself there and took another tower shot. And I just don't think that was the correct play there. I understand you want blood, you want to fight, but sometimes you have to know when to get out of dodge.
Looking at the general state of the game right now, 1,300 gold roughly in the lead is Mahakali. And this time, they do manage to hold on to that as we have a gank in waiting and left, but it looks like Malog not going to take the bait over here. In last game, we saw that Mahakali had the early game comp, struggled to really get that off the ground. This time, Circadian Rhythm bet even further on that late game. But Mahakali have managed to find their footing to the tune of a relatively solid gold lead, experience in their favor as well. So Bloody, what do you think Circadian Rhythm need to do here? Or do you think that this is about as behind as they expected to be?
I think that they were not expecting Mahakali to come out on such strong foot and get these kills very early on. I think that even in their late game team comps, they are very aggressive team. They like to be in your face, they like to fight, they like to make things happen. I don't think that Circadian Rhythm really thought these early fights were going to go in favor of Mahakali. However, having this, more late game comp, with the Tiamat, with the Geb, with the Marticarus, and having that shock and that Ravana as your bridge from early to late, it's going to be interesting how that turns out for them. And I think that they are still in a completely fine place. They might be down.
That's not your tower, bud. Walks to the other tower over in the solo lane, hopping up into the somersault cloud. Decides to go in. Ultimate comes through, but a rotation from Scalderman going in onto Scrungo Beepus is able to finish off the kill onto the Raven, and with the Ox form is able to get out. Excellently played by Vidar there, just able to bait Circadian Rhythm into overconfidence, and the rotation excellently timed from Scalderman is going to result in a kill once again onto this Raven. Lining up the anvil of Dawn. He goes in and forces the beads off of Gout. Takes a tower shot. Malog goes under the tower as well, but also takes a couple tower shots for their troubles. Going to get away. So some commitment onto the Marticarus. Not going to have as much success on that side of the map. But this blue buff invade plus that kill on the jungler definitely going to be helping for Mahakali.
Yeah, and what's really interesting in this game number 2, we saw how nice it was to have that Kali disruption in game number 1 for Circadian Rhythm. Right now it's looking like the junglers are having a bit of a struggle, a little bit of a problem here in this early game. Lina is making these rotations, doing very well, helping his team try and get these kills, but has been a bit off on these Anvil of the Dawns through the early game. And Scrungo Beepus maybe not being a Ravana gamer, starting this game out 0-3, not wanting to give it to Mahakali, but really kind of getting punished for this pick here in the early game as he's 0-3 thus far. And now we're looking for this beacon fight.
Yeah, beacon fight started. Snow Mercy gets incredibly low, trying to get out with the 5-man rotation from Mahakali. He's going to seal out the life of that Geb, and Ghost Mars just forced to watch from the tier 2 tower as now Mahakali is going to rotate in force over towards this Gold Fury. Oracle control, though, is in the favor of Circadian Rhythm. They know that this is happening, but Marticarus cannot be walking up to this all on his lonesome, so instead, just going to make sure that they're not able to steal away the purple buff. As no Pyromancer to answer back, with Mahakali get the Gold Fury.
And this is a great start for Mahakali, as showing what they are made of and really playing much more consistent, much better than they did in game number one. They showed some life in there and kind of brought it back through the middle game of game number one. But this game, they are showing they are dominant. Up 4 kills to 0, up 3,000 gold at the 13-minute mark, and 1,500 XP. This is a beautiful start for Mahakali, and they are using that Sun Wukong pick. We talked about that before the game started, that they couldn't let Circadian Rhythm have that Sun Wukong again. And at this point, I think both teams have to realize we cannot allow this Sun Wukong to get into the game, because he will run the show one way or another, no matter whose team he's on.
Scalder main takes a bit of poke, but Mahakali and Circadian Rhythm both grouping up on this right-hand side of the map. Is this a 4-man rotation trying to steal away the blue buff? It is not going to be successful. Lina takes some poke on the way out. Vidar goes in with the 72 transformations, but that's all just buying time for Mahakali to burn away this Pyromancer, and it's going to go solidly in their favor. Lina, though, gets extraordinarily low, has to hop up into the Anvil of Dawn. Snow Mercy, though, on the Geb is the next target of the aggression, and not able to shield yourself if you're getting constantly knocked up by that watery grave. And so it's the Pyromancer plus a pick onto the support. Ghosty Mars needs to be careful. Scrungo as well. And Vidar's just running under tower on the Sun Wukong pick. This is a completely different Mahakali than we saw in game one.
Yeah, Mahakali, able to fix all of the problems that they had in game number one. You could tell that the communication is there, as they are constantly grouping as 4, grouping as 5, and doing so much work in this game number 2. And right now, you look at the big hitters, who have been in on these fights and who is really, making stuff happen. You look at Scaldermain, 0-0-4. Perfect stat line for the support, 80% kill participation. You look at the Thor, you look at Lina on this Thor, 0-4 as well. Obviously you'd want your jungler to get more of those kills, but still 80% kill participation. And also your solo laner, Vidar, as well, 80% kill participation. This front line just working as a core, rotating wherever they need to be. And this Sun Wukong is getting these last hits. He's 3-0-1 right now. He's worth shutdown gold. And it's crazy to see just how much of a change Mahakali has made going into this game.
Ultimate drop from Gout of this world. Anvil of Dawn comes down onto the Marticarus, and excellently timed beads to keep the life of the duo laner. But Rom ultimate, brilliant Aegis saves the life of the Marticarus. And now just a retreat here from Mahakali, but they got what they came for. They got that tier 1 tower, they got the beads, Aegis, and ult away from this Marticarus. So Gout of this world going to be scared, hiding under that T2 tower for the foreseeable future. On the other side, Coconut does manage to push down that T1 tower over in right lane. So if you're Circadian Rhythm right now, you are looking mostly at your solo lane and your mid lane as your places where you're going to get most of your pressure here. Circadian Rhythm yet to get a kill on the board. The lead continues to go in the favor of Mahakali.
Yeah, and Mahakali doing so well grouping up in these fights. You can't, say it enough. Just the fact that they are grouping up as 3, grouping up as 4, and this frontline core of them is just sticking together and making so much happen. Burning a bunch of ultimates, but not burning any relics besides the Rama Aegis through that. And you got so many relics out of Circadian Rhythm. You got the bees and the Aegis in that fight. You were able to, now the Shox teleports down as he is teleporting around. So, you have the relic advantage, you have the level advantage, you have the gold advantage.
Ooh.
What are you gonna do with it?
Molag dashes in. Has to go up into the
Force go
ultimate.
up.
Line comes down. And suddenly, Out of This World has this fight completely turned around on his head. Chasing down onto the ADC. Molag trying to make his way out. Looks like he might
No
be
way he's
able to
getting
do
out.
just that. And no one is able to reach this Rama on Circadian Rhythm. And Molag gets out at a sliver of HP. They thought the Rama was as good as dead, turned a lot of the damage onto the Thor, but I guess Circadian Rhythm, a bit of a miscalculation.
Wow, and just a great job by Mahakali to make that rotation. Lina showing up at the perfect timing. Mullet so low. Able to get in the Astral Barrage. Lina able to dive in onto the Marticarus of Gout of the World. Able to pick up the kill and force Grungo Beepus. It's like, oh wait, I have someone else here, forcing that turnaround, forcing that distraction, and through some very great ultimates, were able to, pick up the kill and manage to get Mullig out at 1 HP. Now they're getting the Primal Fury as well. Circadian Rhythm tried to, fight that, tried to take it away, but weren't able to do it. And Mahakali, a 6,000 golden XP lead. They are in the commander seat. They are in this driver's seat, and all they understand is that accelerator has hit the floorboard, and they're keep going.
Yeah, solid gold lead here for Mahakali. However, only 6 kills to their name, though Circadian Rhythm haven't managed to get any. It is still by no means over for Circadian Rhythm. They are now grouped up as 5 in this mid lane. They force the ultimate out of Vidar, and they rotate now over to the Pyromancer, realizing that the Sun Wukong is less of a threat than before, but a level 17 Sun Wukong with or without ult is still a threat. So Scrungo Beepus going to go over there to try
Ooh, he's half.
and answer that solo laner. You're right, half HP, but Mahakali
Steal it!
steal away the Pyromancer as well, thanks to the Agni Bombs. So Circadian Rhythm, they thought they had an opportunity, but Mahakali snatch it from right under their nose.
And this Sun Wukong, even though he was not the big into that fight, just being a big enough distraction, being a big enough nuisance to kind of get Scrungo Beepus out so that Big Man Jesus could walk up and do
Scrungo
those
chasing
Agni
down
Bombs
Big Man.
over the wall.
Ultimate used from Scaldermain, but that locks in.
Oh, that
There was a
capitalism.
Circadian Rhythm, but it's a double ult. Brilliant combo from the two frontliners of Circadian Rhythms. No Mercy is the target
Yeah,
now
it's getting ran down.
of the aggression, getting shredded on the Geb. No ultimate, only the Geb shield, which is not enough to get him out of there. And Lina dives into the tower, beats Aegis forced out, but it's low HP bars. For the entirety of Circadian Rhythm, Coconut is going to lose his life. Out of the world trying to respond with the kill in kind. Vidar gets caught out. The Sun Wukong is tanky. Are you tanky enough though? Ghosty Mars, the two backliners trying to put out damage. Scrungo Beepus barely able to make it out, and Circadian Rhythm on the board for the first time this game.
Yeah, and that's a big shutdown onto that Sun Wukong. They lost a lot in the process of Circadian Rhythm. A very rough fight for them. But, you got to look at that silver lining. You're on the board. You got a big shutdown onto that Sun Wukong. And it went to your ADC, meaning that is big gold for him and XP for him. As well as, since those changes into season number 10 here, to where those shutdowns do affect the entire team. So that is huge gold and XP for them and a potential chance to get back in this game. But, we look at the stats, it's still an 8,000 XP difference and a 6,000 gold difference. It's just not enough here. As, every single lane is either equal or down multiple levels. You look at the ADCs, this Rama of Molag is 3 levels up. You look in the support, Scaldermain doing so well, the perfect, support ratio of that 006, but is 2 levels up on the Geb. You look into the jungle, Lina 2 levels up. Also maybe jungler, but rocking the perfect support ratio. And you look to Vidar, he's a level up over Coconut as well. The only place they actually that Circadian Rhythm has a lead is in the mid lane. And it's only in XP because due to the objectives, due to the towers that they've gotten, that Big Man Jesus is still going to be behind or be ahead in gold, even if he is behind in level.
Osteomars needs to be careful. Molag, though, dashes in. The Rama might get a little over-aggressive here. Mahakali, they secure the Oni Fury up into the ultimate. Goes Molag trying to push down this kill onto the Tiamat. Not going to be able to do so. Snow Mercy comes in, and Scaldermane on the back end. The support is forgotten by Mahakali, as he is now forgotten in the gray screen. Vidar trying to run down the line. Lina gets caught out, not able to get out. And so it's 2 kills swung in the favor of Circadian Rhythm, and they're looking for more Bloody. They're going in onto Big Man Jesus. Vidar trying to peel for his mid laner, but it's not enough. The damage from Chalk is good to get the kill. The Bluestone enough to finish that one off. Vidar up into the Somersault Cloud, and funny enough, Molag has still managed to live throughout all this time. Snow Mercy chasing down, and the Gab is going to get the knock up, but no one close enough from Circadian Rhythm to finish off the kills, but it's low HP bars for Mahakali. Bloody Circadian Rhythm, they fight back, and this late game comp is starting to rear its ugly head.
Yeah, and a great fight out of Circadian Rhythm, getting 3 for nothing there. A big turn of events, bringing back that gold lead from 8,000 back to 5, like down to 4. A massive fight for them, ruining the perfect support ratios of the Thor and of Scaldermane, and finally getting a kill onto Big Man Jesus himself.
No way.
It's wow, Mahakali is going for Fire Giant here, or at least trying to bait it in and try and start this up. After a big fight like that, that's scary.
Scrungo Beepus is on the way over. 4 members of Circadian Rhythm are here. Mahakali, they need to back up. They need to back up now. They're hesitant to do so. Malal gets stunned. Beads are forced out of the Rama. Damage being returned onto the Gab, but in goes Coconut. Forces the Rama ultimate out. The ultimate not in time from Coconut. Snow Mercy goes down at the hands of the Thor, but you lose your ADC in the trade. Vidar now has to go up into the Somersault Cloud. Scrungo Beepus chasing down this Agni, gets the blink off, and the damage is through. Caught up and taken down. Big Man Jesus now falls, and it's an attempt at pulling the Fire Giant, but it is not enough. So Circadian Rhythm, instead, are the ones who pull this. They have the Martigerous, they have the team at both here dealing the damage. Is not going down that fast, though, and they need to be careful not to have the same thing happen to them. Scrungo Beepus on the peel, though, trying to space out for this Fire Giant pull, and deals quite the load of damage here to Vidar. This Ravana really starting to come online. The damage is coming through.
There's no way Mahakali steals
Fire
this, right?
Giant is down to 1/8 HP. I think Mahakali have a chance to steal this. Vidar goes in. It's a 50-50. Circadian Rhythm, they secure the Fire Giant, and Mahakali trying to get out of Circadian Rhythm are on the chase. 5v4 here, so they have the advantage for at least a little bit longer. And Bloody Circadian Rhythm come right back into things. They get the Fire Giant, even up the gold lead to a certain extent. And now they have a push and some time to do whatever they wish.
Yeah, XP is equal. They have brought XP back equal. They're down 1,500 gold at this point. They just got Beacon. Titans are going to be unleashed, and the Circadian Rhythm have a 5-man with fire. You know that there is going to be a massive fight in this duo lane, as Circadian Rhythm are now taken over this game off of 2 major fights, and they are going to want blood. They're going to want more. They're going to want to fight, knowing that they have that advantage, knowing that they have that Fire Giant. And I'm expecting a do or die fight over here on this duo side for Mahakali. Oh, the team must get blown up.
Rhythm are getting chased out here. Ghosty Mars is low in the back line, and Vidar is chasing him down. Scrungo loses his life, and so does Ghosty Mars, and it's a disaster. Striking here for Circadian Rhythm. Mahakali find 2 massive picks and might find a 3rd coconut trying to get out. It's a great Thor wall, and the CC is just too much. A double kill from Malog coming up right as this Primal Fury is here, and as the Titans push down the left-hand side. It is disastrous timing for Circadian Rhythm. They lose their Fire Giant, and now they have to defend from the Titan.
Molag and Vidar are menaces to society in these fights. You know, doing so well, you know, Vidar creating the space for Molag constantly throughout this game. And this ADC, this Rama, 6-1, you know, these two just comboing and being so well together, playing so well off of each other. It's so crazy to see this Rama just absolutely melting people. And you know, you'd think the Agni, the god of fire, would be the one melting people into it. No, it's the Rama shredding through these big hefty autos off this Sun Wukong and off this setup of Lina, you know, off this just front line, just massive setup, and he is just plowing through Circadian Rhythm every chance he gets.
Mahakali, Molag is the only one here. He goes up into the ultimate to try and steal away this Fury, but waiting on landing is Ghosty Mars, and realizing that he might have made a mistake, he's forced to dash out. He's getting chased down, silenced out, forces out the beads Aegis, but Ghosty Mars is taking so much damage on the other side. Malug goes down in trade for the mid laner of Circadian Rhythm. A teleport in, excellent there from Vidar. Mahakali get a 4-man stun off of the Anvil of Dawn, and that is enough to completely win this fight over for Mahakali. Coconut gonna lose his life on the back end, and Scrungo Beepus getting chased down. Lina, you deserve that kill.
As Mahakali re-engaging there, you know, may have lost your ADC, but the commitment to him is everything, and the punishment is huge. Are they gonna be able to end the game here? Because they're gonna go for it.
15 seconds left on the respawn for Tiamat
here.
They're going for this Titan. And it's burning relatively fast. No Mercy, the Ged, the only one left to defend. 4 seconds until Ghosty Mars comes back up on the Tiamat. The Titan is at a quarter HP. Can Circadian Rhythm manage to defend? Ghosty Mars is going in. He focuses out Big Man Jesus. The Titan is low, but so is Skulderman. He goes down. The Titan at barely any HP. Vidar, can he do it? No! Just barely. The Titan manages to hang on. Ghosty Mars on a triple kill. The Tiamat and Ghosty Mars come up big at the 11th hour.
Wow, just so close to getting that done. If the Wukong had the cooldowns for even one more ability, that Titan was down. That was so incredibly close. And props to this Tiamat, props to Ghosty Mars and Snow Mercy on that defense. That was incredibly close.
Backdoor?
But Molag is looking for the back door, knowing no one's home. He's gonna try and go through the solo or that dual lane side, but he doesn't know Coconut is back. And he sees him and is gonna be forced out. I think that he saw that Coconut saw him as he's gonna get pinched here.
No, Molag now caught out, trying to get away.
He's between a rock and a hard place.
Rotation. The entirety of Mahakali's here, pops up into the ultimate, and that will only prolong the inevitable. Dread it, run from it. I guess we're only going to get to see what happens though after this pause. But the pause does give us some time to look at the builds over here. I did want to call attention. Never mind. Malog is just going to go down after the pause finishes up here. Scalderman goes in with the ultimate. He's just chasing down Coconut all on his lonesome. I'm a little confused as Vidar tries to get the kill on the Titan in the back. These backdoors are not doing anything but healing this Titan up as Big Man Jesus gets run down by Ghosty Mars, and now Lina debating whether to ult in onto the Titan, going to decide against it. Mahakali, it is another split push onto this 1 HP Titan, and the Titan, every time they fail, only gets stronger.
Does Circadian Rhythm ever just leave someone to defend that duo side and go Fire Giant?
I don't know. That's a good
Like,
point. It could leave someone to defend.
you've gotten 2 resets. Your Titan's now a quarter HP instead of being that easy one tap. And, that Fire Giant is up. It is EFG. That's that big objective. You had 2 picks. Was that ever something that Circadian Rhythm gambled there? You're behind. You're in a rough spot. You try and make something happen there.
They are going to make something happen over here. Vidar taken low on the Sun Wukong, and so a retreat from Circadian Rhythm is called. Are they going to pull the Pyromancer? Looks like they are just here to make sure that Mahakali aren't the ones to get it. One member going to back. Coconut defending that left-hand lane. Does not want to let this Titan fall. No one from Mahakali going for the split push as of now. Lina sitting alone in the jungle, has to be careful not to get caught out. Dropped to half HP and dropped into the grayscale, accepting their fate. The Thor goes down. Malak now, the next possible target, trying to run away. A pull on the Pyromancer from Mahakali, but a teleport in from the Chalk is going to mean
this
could be danger damage onto the Tiamat, but the Geb shield is enough to get him out ever so slightly. Rom up into the ultimate, hoping to get revenge for earlier. The Aegis is good to save the life of the Tiamat. Vidar is going to die, unable to save the life of the solo laner, Armand Hakali, and so they are going to back right up. Circadian Rhythm. Someone needs to back and defend that left Phoenix. I don't know if Skrunko Beepus is going to get to this Phoenix in time. He gets here, and he does manage to defend this. Only one more fire wave left coming down that lane. In the meanwhile, Circadian Rhythm, they pull this Fire Giant, and it is burning to 2/3 HP, and this is an enhanced Fire Giant, so Mahakali need to make the decision now. Are they stepping up to this? Or are they going to let this go? Molag is here, so the Rom ult something always to consider. But right, as Production points out, the ultimate is down on the Rama. Scaldermane just going in, ulting the backline. The Watery Grave is burned. Big Man Jesus is here, but to the skies goes the Meticulous. Lina comes down. Gouts of this world dies on the other end of that ultimate. Big Man Jesus falls. Ghosty Mars dies to a double kill from Lina on the Thor. A shutdown. Huge onto this Tiamat, and Coconut going to fall as well. Mulug cleaning that one up, and Mahakali, they fight back around the Fire Giant, the EFG. Skrongo Beepus goes in trying to turn around a kill onto the Thor. But now, 4-man strong. Do Mahakali want to try and push down a Phoenix, try and end this game? Looks like they might be doing just that, Bloody.
I think you have to. I 100% think that you have to here. You go to that dual lane, you shred it, and you go straight for that Titan. You have 30 seconds. You have 20 seconds till Get Out of the World gets back up. I think it's something that you had to do, but you had to have Lina back. I think that it was a little bit risky being at 1 HP and not backing there. So I don't like that gamble. I don't think that they can kill the Titan now. They are going to be able to get that, duo-side bird again, but I think a bit of hesitancy, a bit of, shy of commitment and not having lineup back. I do think they had an opportunity to, win the game there, but not able to seal the deal, being a little bit too hesitant there. Are going to get one of the last 2 tier 2s and get that duo-side bird. Those fire waves are still a lot of pressure for Mahakali for trying to set up for these Fire Giants here coming up.
This Phoenix down and left is going to get the aid of the Tiamat minions, so not going to get pushed up as easily as usual. Pyromancer going to go the way of Mahakali. Getting a runic bomb is going to be helpful in the case of a siege, or even the pull around this FG should they so choose to use it. But the EFG still on the table. Mahakali did not choose to take it after the team fight win, and so all they got was the left-hand Phoenix, which is in fact the best Phoenix to have in this kind of scenario. Vidar goes in on the Ox form. Snow Mercy forced into that dash, but it's damage coming through for the entirety of Circadian Rhythm. Vidar is forced into the Somersault Cloud and forced into the ultimate as well. His Scalderman Coconut now burns his ultimate, and Malog takes way more damage than he bargained for, and he is going to go down. Gout of this world now gets the kill onto Vidar, and now a chase from Circadian Rhythm. They're running down the remaining members of Mahakali. The bull comes through from Ghosty Mars, but a push onto the mid Phoenix seems to be the call for Circadian Rhythm, as Coconut has to back and defend their Titan from these fire waves. Mid Phoenix would be a bit of a boon here, but it's a good wall from the Thor Lina. Not going to let this one fall without a fight. Big Man Jesus is here as well, and it's only a 4v3 around this Phoenix. Half HP already for Scrungo, as the Phoenix is still sitting pretty at 2/3 HP. And Mahakali managed to get the kill on the Snow Mercy over the wall. Big Man hitting these Agni Bombs like no tomorrow. Been pretty darn accurate with those.
Yeah, and both these teams, this match is going so back and forth. It is like a seesaw bouncing up one side, down on the other, as these teams are equal through the ending of this game and through these later stages. As you're getting picks, you're getting big fights, but neither team getting a clear and concise victory to do more than just a bird. As I said, Mahakali got so close to ending this game, taking this game number 2, and the Titan living with just like less than 1,000 HP. And ever since then, Circadian Rhythm has just been a thorn in their side, dragging out this game for the last 10 minutes.
This Fire Giant is now burning extraordinarily fast. Circadian Rhythm have to rotate over. You don't have your Geb. Vidar is the one spacing things out. The Fire Giant, though, does get leashed by Mahakali. They're wrapping around. They're looking for a kill. They go in onto the Marticarus, and they are not going to find the kill up to the skies. Goes Rama is able to finally finish off the kill on to that ADC for Circadian Rhythm, and this game continues to get drawn out here. Circadian Rhythm, they fight back a little bit and still make Mahakali hesitant to pull this Fire Giant. They need a little something else, but that might come in the form of someone having to back to defend this left-hand Phoenix as the Fire Waves push down the left-hand side of the map. Mahakali, they know this, and they're pushing back the members of Circadian Rhythm, not letting any of them head back to base to defend this Phoenix. Scrungo Beepus trying to get this back off as soon as he can. Lina not able to stop it. Does he have the blink up? This time he will. And Bloody, it's a repeat of something we saw earlier. It seems like this game is just an endless loop.
History repeats itself. Scrungo using that blink, able to save that suicide bird, is a correct call 100% of the time, because that bird falling makes your life so much more difficult, makes it so much harder to step up to these Fire Giants. And it's just something that, those relics have cooldowns and will come back up, but losing that bird and having that constant pressure is not something that you can afford to have.
Not something you can afford at all. Mahakali, they pull and they take this Pyromancer off the board, and now they set up around this Fire Giant. Everyone is at level 20. Everyone has completed their builds. It is now just play on field and maybe some 3K pots if you're fancy.
Yeah, as both these teams are able to start affording those expensive pots and be able to start upgrading relics, both teams are going to be full build, full setup. It's really going to be who can get those big pots online sooner.
On to Big Man Jesus from Scrungo Beepus. The Agni is low
alive
and is dying, but is not going to be dead quite yet. Scrungo Beepus is actually the one to lose his life on the back end. Moa hops into the ultimate. The Astral Barrage is only able to get some tick damage onto that Geb. Low HP bars on Mahakali, and as production has pointed out, that left-hand Phoenix has gone down at the hands of the Thor. So Mahakali, they make a good play. They find a kill off of the engage from Circadian Rhythm, and they get the Phoenix as well.
Yeah, and Lina doing a good job using, that movement of Thor to get over there and take that Phoenix. Scrungo Beepus had used his blink and to save it, but Lina's just like, no, I'm making sure it goes down while y'all are dealing with the rest of my team over here in by that fire giant pit. And now it is Mahakali being the aggressor.
Coconut just being torn down here, but Vidar loses his life to Ghosty Mars. Ghosty Mars, he jumps in. Coconut gets credited for the kill onto Molag. It's a great ultimate, though. The Anvil of Dawn comes through on a 3, but Lina needs to get out. Big Man Jesus keeping Out of This World under tower, but Ghosty Mars gets the kill onto Scalderman. Snow Mercy trying to chase down using the rollout, not going to be able to catch up in time. Out of This World defending that left lane now on the Martichorus. Circadian Rhythm, though, they got a kill onto 3 members here. And with Coconut spacing Lina out, Circadian Rhythm have to decide whether they're aiming for a Phoenix or they're aiming for the Fire Giant. And Bloody, it seems like Phoenix might be the call. You have to be careful, though, if you're Coconut. You're danger close to dead, and you are just going to go down to this Agni. But was that all a bait? It looks like it might have been. Lina loses their life as Big Man Jesus now forced away. Ghosty Mars just chases down the Agni into the Titan room. It is a deicide, albeit delayed. The Phoenix goes down. Do they end? No, they don't. 2 tier 2 towers still left up on the side of Mahakali. Instead, Oni Fury for the Oni Fire Waves being pulled by the Martichorus. And then possibly look over to the Fire Giant. Can't say I agree with Martichorus being at the Oni Fury as opposed to the Fire Giant at this point in time. But
yeah,
you take
I completely
what you can
agree with you there. The Oni waves are going to help combat that fire wave and, give you a bit of pressure. But, when you have that combination of Oni fire waves in the mid lane, can be absolutely devastating if they are ignored. But on the same token, I really think that that was the time to pull EFG. You had almost everyone down on the side of Mahakali, and you actually had an advantage and had an opportunity to pull that. And the only people that had a chance to potentially steal it would be Vidar if he can get back fast enough, and Molag with the Astral Barrage ultimate. So it's a interesting choice to let Mahakali kind of regather their team and be able to still contest these EFG fights.
EFG now having a grouping by both teams. All 5 members have revived. Ghosty Mars putting through some damage onto Vidar, who has not been able to find much luck on the Sun Wukong as of late, just burned through so incredibly fast by Circadian Rhythm. And Circadian Rhythm, at this point in the game, they do have the advantage when it comes to their draft. Martichorus and Tiamat late game provides you so much. But it's just a matter of executing on it, and so far it has just been a dance around this Fire Giant. Notably, Fire Waves all pushed up, it would seem, unless a new one spawns in right now. So that left Phoenix going to respawn here for Circadian Rhythm. Things are going to be evened up. You realize that Chalk is in the left lane, but a teleport back. And Vidar getting super low hops into the Somersault Cloud. Lina ults in onto 2, but takes a ton of damage, has to back out all the way out with the hammer. Vidar gets knocked up and chasing down onto Out of This World. Meanwhile, Ghosty Mars just jumps in 1v3 into the back line of the enemy team. Scrungo Beepus gets credited for 1 kill here as Malog gets rid of the Geb, but Big Man Jesus falls in trade. It's a double kill and a killing spree. Deicide here for Circadian Rhythm. And with 4 members up Bloody, this might finally be the thing that ends this game.
Yeah, and Circadian Rhythm finally breaking through this stalemate, this havoc that had been going on for the last 15 minutes. And with that, Circadian Rhythm will take down the Titan and take game number 2. And
in a 47-minute slobber knocker, Circadian Rhythm finally managed to take the victory here over Mahakali. Bit of a revival we saw from Mahakali. Were able to really find their identity in this game. Had a lot of early pressure, turned that into a very solid state later on in the game, but it just seems like the stamina of Circadian Rhythm was there. They were able to go the distance, go that extra mile, and well, they'll find themselves in losers round 3 against Gustra.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough matchup for Circadian Rhythm. Gustra may have lost in the first round to Circadian Rhythm. However, they are on their way back. They have won 2-0 in both of their losers bracket, and we are going to see a grudge match as both these teams are fighting for their survival, and they have already played off against each other in these playoffs. And Circadian Rhythm may have taken it 2-0, but Gustra's gonna want revenge when they go into this match.
Gustra definitely going to be looking for revenge, but that is a cast for another day. As for us here on GSL, we're going to take a look at the post game to wrap things up. And Coconut here on the chalk. He said it wasn't a pick that was extremely expected here, but definitely did his job. But I think a lot of credit for this game has to go to Ghosty Mars here on the team at 50k damage.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Ghostimar's doing very well at that game, playing so safe, using those yellow numbers, using those items that just do percent health, do flat damage, do, you know, true damage. And it worked out very well for him, going 12, 3, and 9, being in on 21 of your team's kills. That is good kill participation for a mid laner, and doing it, getting such high damage, having the most in the game by 6,000 over Moloch, who did so well on that Rama through the majority of the game, to finally be able to bring that set home was very well done by the side of Circadian Rhythm.
Very well done by Circadian Rhythm. Mahakali, they put up a valiant fight, especially in that game too, but it is not enough to save them from elimination. And with that, that is going to be all for us here on the cast. Once again, before we head out, I have been Cabbage, joined here by Bloody and Soulslaw, the wonderful Soulslaw on production. And that's going to be all for us today. So hope you guys all have a wonderful day. We'll be back in a couple of hours with another set for you, so don't go anywhere.